Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, not here with Geeky Sparkles. She is sitting this video out. We're going to talk about the tabletop game industry. We're going to talk about Cards Against Humanity. And we're going to talk about Donald Trump threatening to hit China with another 100% tariff. What? I thought this was dealt with. Apparently it's not dealt with. And we're going to talk about Cards Against Humanity now. I think this was in the works before the tariff situation, but I'm going to be honest, regardless of how you feel about it, the tariffs are definitely throwing a wrench into the production pipeline, especially in the board game space. We've done a couple videos about the tariff situation in relation to tabletop games and card games this year, because it's been a huge deal, right? Because most of these games are made overseas. A lot of these smaller publishers are citing financial problems. At one point, there was going to be like 150% tariff, and they thought they were going to go out of business. I think some of them did go out of business. So it's been a mess, right? Because again, most of this production's overseas in China to make all those pieces. Most of the vast majority of games are made in China, and you can say, hey, you should make them here in the U.S., but it's not always cost effective, especially if you get a lot of plastic pieces. I'm just saying. So we're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about the latest round of tariffs and see if we can make sense of what's going on. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Go out to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com. Get notified when we upload new videos. If you go out there, we also have some paywalled content. Thank you very much for the support. Now, this is not the first time they've taken shots against Trump over at Cards Against Humanity. I know that they had the Trump instructions, or send the complaints to President Donald J. Trump at the Mar-a-Lago Club, and they have the address on there. And I think they did T-shirts or something before too. So I mean, look, we obviously know which way they lean, right? But this is a new wrinkle. Cards Against Humanity avoids tariffs with an addition that explains all the jokes. Says this holiday season, don't give Donald Trump a fucking cent. Yeah, a lot of people are worried about the holidays. They're worried about getting things manufactured in time and with margins that are gonna actually profit the company. I don't know. Again, this is what happens when we are over reliant on foreign manufacturing, but also you can't just turn that back on, right? And I know I got a lot of shit for that. I said, look, we are so reliant on foreign manufacturing and foreign parts that you can't just flip a switch and make everything in the U.S. I understand the purpose of this is to try to level the playing field. The purpose of this is to eventually kind of force these companies to come back to the U.S. and make things here. But in the immediate future, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt like hell, and it's going to put a lot of people out of work. It's going to put a lot of small businesses under. Just my opinion. But here we go. Let's see what this edition is, right? For U.S. customers only. Okay. Cards Against Humanity is a party game where humor revolves around fill-in-the-blank statements on cards, which players then complete with taboo or offensive terms. You can't use terms that are too offensive or too taboo now because they've taken some cards out because it might make Portland angry. The company behind the game has now announced Cards Against Humanity explains the joke. A special edition where every card explains why it's funny. The reason this makes it an informational product rather than a game, meaning it is 100% exempt from the stupid tariffs. Oh, that's interesting. I'm going to warn you in advance, in case it's not clear, that the people behind this really don't like Donald Trump, so read at your own risk. What? Trump is going to fuck Christmas, opens the announcement before going on to explain that, like a teenage girl at a beauty pageant, Christmas is in grave danger because of Donald Trump. Ooh. In stores across America, the price of toys, games, clothes, and food are skyrocketing, all thanks to our demented president and his dumbass tariffs. Their words, not mine. But what if you didn't have to surrender a chunk of your Christmas budget to Trump and his cabinet of ass kissers and ball fondlers? Well, now you can avoid that by buying Cards Against Humanity explains the joke for Christmas. Pre-orders it live now for it's only $25 until October 15th, after which they won't make any more, and 100% of the profits go to the American Library Association to help fight censorship. Weird, because I just want to point out that the left were very censorious for a number of years. But, whatever. Let's take a look at this. All right, here's your order. Cards Against Humanity explains a joke. You can donate more to the American Library Association. $30. There you go. Or since you're just making cards, those can be manufactured in the U.S. I'm just saying. Not to be that guy, not to be the wet blanket. And I do understand a lot of these games, a lot of these pieces have to be manufactured overseas because we do not have the capability to do them, or we can't do them at a price point that makes it cost effective, that gives these companies, margins to work with, with distribution and everything else. But I will tell you for 100% certainty, if you're only making cards, you can get them made in the U.S. at a fairly decent price. And I know a few places that do it. I'm just saying. But, got to talk about the ass kissers and the ball fondlers, right? So, for example, one card in Cards Against Humanity says this week's mass shooting. This now comes accompanied by the following explanation. America experiences so many mass shootings and so normalizes them that this non-specificity of the joke heightens its comedic realism. Sad fact, this card was once this year's mass shooting. Well, hey, it is what it is. Every joke is now accompanied by an explanation of why it's funny in any relevant social, political, or historical context, so it's going to be almost exclusively anti-Trump, anti-Republican. You can't play Cards Against Humanity, explains the joke, but being you can't play it because it's not a game. But being a historico-philosophical analysis that is very seriously and definitely not a game gets that all-important classification of informational material and thus means no tariffs. The cards are printed overseas. The cards can be printed in the U.S. Those can be printed. I'm just putting it out there again. They can be printed in the U.S. But that, again, you couldn't get your digs in at Trump if you did that. Here's the FAQ, which contains some gems such as what if DHS Secretary and dog murderer Kristi Noem gets mad and decides Cards Against Humanity explains the joke is not informational material. Answer, she can fuck right off because we got a binding rule from Trump's own government that confirms this product is informational and 100% exempt from his stupid tariffs. The only bum note is that this is not available for overseas customers. This is an American promotion for freedom-loving, tariff-hating Americans. This is not the first time that Cards Against Humanity have picked a fight with the Trump administration. Oh, I remember that. The wall. Yeah. In 2017, it bought land in Texas on the Mexican border purely to make it more difficult for Trump to build the wall. Last year, it sued Elon Musk for $15 million for encroaching on that same land. Like the game, maybe it's not big or clever. Sure is funny, though. Yeah, they're just trolling people. But here, let's talk about the new round of tariffs. Trump's new 100% tariffs on China triggered an $18 billion crypto sell-off. Oh, that's interesting. All right. So Trump is threatening to impose an additional 100% tariff on imports from China. It sparked a massive crypto sell-off. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. Well, what are the tariffs about here? Let's see. In retaliatory move, Trump threatens 100% tariffs on Chinese goods. President made the threat after Beijing imposed new global restrictions on the use of rare earth minerals, which are vital supplies for U.S. makers of chips and batteries. This is like Dune. I swear to God, right? The batteries are like the spice. President Trump on Friday said he would impose a 100% tariff on all products from China. Does that include informational, educational stuff? In response to curbs, Beijing announced this week on rare earth minerals, a rapid escalation of tensions between the world's largest economic powers. On Truth Social, Trump wrote that the tariffs would take effect on November 1st and be imposed over and above other tariffs on Chinese exports, which are already 30% and in some cases much higher. The U.S. would also put export controls on critical software, he said. In an earlier post on Friday, the president threatened to retaliate and cancel a planned meeting with Winnie the Pooh. Mr. Trump called the curbs that China put out this week on its exports of rare earth minerals are sinister and hostile and said they would make life difficult for virtually every country in the world. Well, that's probably the purpose. Control the spice. He added that he had planned to meet Mr. Pooh in 2 weeks at an international economic conference in South Korea, but now there seems to be no reason to do so. One of the policies we are calculating at this moment is a massive increase on tariffs, China's products coming into the U.S. There are many other countermeasures that are likewise under serious consideration. Markets shuddered at the developments. The S&P 500 index sliding more than 2% on Friday. Speaking on Friday, the president suggested the tariffs could be walked back before November 1st. We'll see what happens. It's going to be very, very bad. Yeah, he does this a lot. He threatens. And then, he's basically just saying, hey, you're going to play ball with us. We're going to play by our rules or you're done, right? And I think it's a game of chicken. I really do. Now, the tariff situation, though, has definitely hurt the card industry because and also the tabletop industry, and we talked about it before, because margins are razor thin. Now, did it wind up being the 150% that they were afraid of? No. There was a bit of a reprieve, but now we're potentially right back to where we started from. If it were me, I would have spent the last 6 months looking for a way to do more in the U.S. or in countries other than China. If it were me, and I understand, not everything is able to be produced in the U.S., especially not cost effectively. I get it. We have multiple businesses. I completely get it. But just going about your business like nothing is going to change isn't going to help anyone. A lot of these companies, they've already got like Steve Jackson Games. They just kind of like threw their hands up in the air, and freaking Come On Games, they're just like, yeah, we have like, like what is it, like 18 outstanding Kickstarters. And they're like, I don't know what we're going to do. Gloomhaven was one. They are fulfilling. Actually, I've been getting updates on that. But I mean, in the case of Cards Against Humanity, this is purely for political points and to get money to the American Library Association, because you can make cards in the U.S. and you can do it pretty cost effectively. It's just paper. It's the plastic pieces that we have a hard time with, the custom pieces, and so many of these games have a lot of custom pieces. But anyway, there we go, guys. What do you think? Leave a comment. We'll talk later. For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com.